Yo, what's going on, Dragon Ballers? Welcome back to another beginner's guide video. In today's video, I'm going to show you guys the best possible deck you can build only using 2 copies of the Cell Ultimate deck from 2022. This is going to be a great video for new players. Again, literally all you're going to need for this is to buy 2 copies of that Cell Ultimate deck, and you can build a pretty good deck. I'm doing this a little bit out of order than I've done beginner's guides in the past, and that's mostly because of the way I was able to get my hands on product. I wasn't able to get my hands on the structure deck until a little bit late. But anyways, from earlier this week, I've got the first place list that me and my teammates used to win a Team Wars event using Cell here, and that was a fully competitively built version of the deck, right? I'm going to link that down in the description so that if you guys want to get more into the game and upgrade your build pass, you guys can reference that. But I want you to be aware that that deck, even though it is upgraded with some outside cards that you won't find in the deck, the main deck is pretty much built mostly, I think it might be like 40 something out of the 50 cards are using cards from the Ultimate deck. So it's still a great point for new players. It's a great product, honestly, because it reprinted a lot of great cards, and you're going to be able to build path it up pretty easily. With that being said, guys, if you're new here, make sure to subscribe, hit that bell so you miss Dragon Ball Super video. Definitely drop a like if you end up enjoying the video, if it ends up helping you out. And if you really want to help me out, you can use my link in the description to TCG Player if you want to buy the Ultimate decks or any cards for that matter. Anyways, let's get right into it. I'm going to definitely go through this a bit more slowly just for new players. So we have the Cell leader here. You're going to get one of these with each Ultimate deck. So we have the Activate Main. Activate Main basically just means you can activate this card's effect at any point during your main phase while you're not attacking. So once per turn, you can place an android from your hand under this card, draw 1 card, then KO one of your opponent's battle cards with energy cost of 3 or less. So the whole thing with green in the Dragon Ball Super card game is board removal and hand control. So green is one of the best colors at just being able to kill anything in the game for the most part. Then you have your Awaken condition. So when you have 3 cards under your leader or 4 or less life, you can untap 1, draw 1, and then take your own life down to 5. And that number 5 is like the magical number. It's the best number you can awaken to in this game at the current point in the meta because of a card that we'll see later. But anyways, then you'll flip your leader over when you can meet the Awaken condition. And we have the rebooted version of Cell Awakened here. This card is so powerful on the Awakened side. When he attacks, you can place 1 android card from your hand under him to draw 2 cards. And then he has an Activate Main where you can take 2 cards from under him and place them in the drop area. Then you can KO any of your opponent's battle cards, and then he gains critical. So again, this leader is just such a powerhouse, offers you so much draw. The fact that he himself becomes a 20k crit makes it so hard for your opponent to defend, and that's why this deck is good, even just being outside of like a beginner's realm. It's very, very good in the current context of the meta. So that's the leader there. We'll move him off to the side. I'll show you guys the 50 cards that I put together. Again, only using 2 copies of the Ultimate deck. Every single card comes in here. And it's all foil, by the way, which is absolutely incredible. Not even like warping foil, which is so nice. So we're starting off with 4 copies of Android 17, Absorption Imminent. When this guy's played, you can look at top 5 and add an Android card. He has the Activate Main. When he's on the board, you can put him under your leader. And you're going to want to do that pretty often. So turn 1, what you're going to want to do is you're going to start with an Android 17, or you're going to start with one of your 4 copies of Android 18, which is effectively the same card as 17. She just draws a card instead of searching for a card. But they both have the ability to go under your leader as an Activate Main. So turn 1, you're going to want to use your leader effect to put a card underneath him. And you're also going to want to play one of these to go underneath your leader. This way, by turn 2, you'll have the 3 card requirement so that you can awaken, take yourself down to 5 life, untap 1, draw 1, do all that fancy stuff. So you really want to start with any of these cards on turn 1. And with 8 of those in your deck, you have a very high percentage of starting with these, especially considering the mulligan. So that's out of the way. Then we have 4 copies of Android 17 and 18, Absorption Imminent. So this card is not so great for its attacking stat, although you can get a 10k crit in once in a while, especially if your opponent's playing a bit of a slower deck. But the great thing here is it's got the same Activate Main that the Android 17 and 18 both had, but this one draws a card when you do it, and you get to play this card for free when one of your opponent's battle cards is KO'd by a skill, and your leader does that, so that sets us up perfectly. And this is also a 17 or an 18. Now keep in mind, it won't be one card that counts as both for certain requirements, but it's one card that counts as either or, and that's very relevant for the main gimmick of this deck, which we'll see in a little bit. But this card's great. Then we have our Cell starters. So we have the first form of Cell here. We have Cell Startling Assimilation. So This and the Cell we'll see in a second both have the unit absorb ability limit 1, which means you can only use this once per turn. Even if you play a new copy, you can still only use this unit absorb ability for this card once per turn. So you can take a 17 from your drop area or your hand, place it under him, and play a multicolored Cell the cost of 4 from your deck or drop area, right? And this one can be played for free when one of your opponent's battle cards is KO'd by your leader skill. So good players will play around this for the most part if they're able to. They're not going to let you pick off battle cards for free, but as you get further into the game, most decks are going to have to put battle cards to the board to pretty much play the game and try to win the game. So you're going to be able to KO something at some point, especially once you get to your Leader's Awakened side, where you just really don't have restrictions on that kind of thing. There's also another one-drop Cell, which is called Absorption Onslaught. So he's got the same exact unit absorb ability, and notice it doesn't cost any energy, which is incredible. This one I already talked about can be played for free. This one can also be played for free if you have a green unison in play and your opponent has no battle cards. So the fact that these both get played for free, albeit in rest mode, and their unit absorbs are also free is very powerful. You're not spending too much energy to get started offensively, which in the past has been problems for unit absorb types of decks. And androids specifically, actually, like different Cell decks and different Android 17 unit absorb decks have had problems where they are a little bit too energy costly. This deck fixes that in every single way, to be honest. Then we have 4 copies of Vegito Peerless Warrior. So if you guys already opened your Ultimate decks, you'll notice it comes with 2 different unisons. You have Vegito and you have the Dr. Gero. The Dr. Gero is okay, but again, this is 50 of the best cards, in my opinion, you could play in this deck, and the Dr. Gero is just not really worth it. This card, though, is absolutely incredible. Basically, every time you activate Union, you draw a card once per turn, which increases your hand size, which in a green deck, green is not necessarily known for having the biggest hand size. Green is more so known for taking your opponent's hand away, and this is not like the stickiest hand control deck. I don't know if that's the right way to put it, but there is a big hand control play in this deck, but the main gimmick of the entire deck is not hand control, if that makes sense. So what you're doing is you're really buffing up your own hand and gearing up for that main end game play. I guess that's the best way to put it. But this unison is incredible for that. The +2 is not going to be the most relevant because it only gives mono green battle cards the revenge skill. And we're playing some multicolor battle cards in this deck. Those are actually the ones we're playing to the board most. But the -7 is so incredibly powerful, it's going to help you win a ton of games. -7, you can look at your opponent's life. You can put one of those life in the drop area, and then your opponent has to discard 3 cards. That's going to combo very nicely when we get to the end game strategy of this deck in a bit. Next up, we have one of the best reprints for this deck, and that is Frieza Charismatic Villain. If you guys are new to the game or haven't really played before, this is a staple card. Every single color pretty much has a counterplay that can be used for 0 energy if you have your corresponding unison color in play. Frieza Charismatic is the one for green, and when it's played, you can KO anything with a cost of 7 or less. And since it's a counterplay skill, you can play it when your opponent plays a battle card, so now you have removal on your opponent's turn, which is very, very powerful. Again, this is an incredible reprint in this deck. This card was very expensive for a long time, so it's just another reason to go ahead and grab the Ultimate deck. Even if you don't want to build this deck, just having this Frieza for your different green decks is invaluable. But now we move on to the main chain of this Cell deck, and we're starting with 4 copies of Cell Dawn of Despair. So he is a 16k battle card with Barrier, which in this current format at least, Barrier is super important, especially against red. So when he's played from your deck or hand, you get to draw a card. So combining that with a Vegito Unison we saw a moment ago, you're going to draw a card from that effect and this effect if it's played from the correct area. And then Unit Absorb for limit 1 for a green energy now. So basically for 1 energy total, if you're able to free play your 1-drop Cell, you go all the way up into your chain. So you place an Android 18 from your hand or drop under him, and then you get to play an 8-cost multicolor Cell. And that is going to be Cell Unending Torment. This card, for as weird as his artwork is so strong. So the main things here are Energy Exhaust Blocker, permanent this card to be removed from your battle area by a skill. You may remove 2 cards from under it instead of it getting removed. So this guy has excellent protection. It is so hard to remove this guy from the board, and this is going to be your main source of pressure that you're going to be applying because of that. His other ability is activate battle once per turn, place 1 card from under him in the drop area, and then switch him back to active mode. So notice he has blocker. So you can, go up through your whole chain, which will probably be in rest mode because the free plays all come and play in rest mode. But if you get to attack with your leader or something else on the board, you can use that activate battle, which is used during battles, to restand him to either attack or be able to block during your opponent's turn. Likewise, if this guy is in active mode at the end of your turn, you can block with him for 20k, and then you can use the activate battle to put him back to active mode, and now you can block with him twice in the same turn, which just gives your defensive capabilities, you know, a lot more power. In this deck, unfortunately, they did not reprint Dormant Potential Unleashed. That's a card you'll notice if you go watch the more competitive build that I have linked in the description. That would have been a great reprint for this deck, but they didn't do it for whatever reason. But yeah, I mean, that card plus this guy blocking twice essentially ends your opponent's turn in a lot of ways. Again, in this deck, we don't have Dormant because it wasn't reprinted in this deck, but that should be a relatively decently priced upgrade if you guys want to go that route. But all right, moving along, we have our main big play of the deck. We're starting off with 2 copies of Wretched Regeneration, a new card exclusive to the Ultimate deck, just like the multicolor cells we just read. So the counterattack is okay if you need to use it. You can counterattack, you can negate the attack, and then you can discard a card from your hand and play a 1-cost cell from your drop area. That's not bad. The activate main, though, costs 4 energy on the effect here, but you also have to pay the 1 that this card already costs. Just keep that in mind. So this is a total of a 5 energy play. You get to play a cell from under your leader. So the one we're playing that came with this deck in particular is Perfect Force Cell. This card is a set 2 card. This card is very old, came out pretty much at the beginning of the game, and it was a force to be reckoned with for such a long time. It got phased out of the game for a while because there ended up not being a great way to cheat it out for a long time, but now in this Ultimate deck, we have that once again. So what you're going to do is you're going to activate Retro Regeneration, you're going to play Perfect Force Cell, and when you play Perfect Force Cell, your opponent has to discard cards in their hand until they have only 3 left. Just imagine how powerful that is. If you've played a few games Dragon Ball Super, you'll notice, you know, typically you have like 10 or more cards in your hand. So to have pretty much all those get removed because of this guy is absolutely insane. Remember too, the -7 ability on that Vegito Unison we read earlier, where you're gonna do this play first and then use the -7 on Vegito to take the remainder of your opponent's hand away. Your opponent's gonna have 0 cards in hand if you can pull this off successfully and keep your Unison at high markers throughout the course of the game. And again, the blocker on this card is going to help you do that, right? So you can kind of see how all of the deck's cards are all very synergistic and they all work very well with each other. So that's the main game-ending ability of the deck. And then finishing off, we have super combos. So if you guys are new to the game, super combos, they have a keyword for a reason. You can only include 4 super combos in your deck because they are just that powerful. This one in particular, when it's comboed with, if your leader is green or blue, your opponent takes a card from their hand and puts it at the bottom of their deck. So another slight element of hand control. In the more competitive version, we don't play this one because, again, you're not like a super focused hand control deck. You're just, you know, trying to maintain your own advantage until you get to your big end game play. So typically we would play a super combo that actually draws us cards, and that's actually a very easy upgrade you can do. Won't cost you more than like $1, to be honest. So, but this is the one that comes with the deck, so this is the one that we are playing. And then to finish it off, we have 6 negates. So we have 3 copies of Homicidal Clones and 3 copies of Android 17 Impending Crisis. So firstly, I want to talk about Homicidal Clones. Homicidal Clones is the reason that I mentioned in the beginning of the video why it's so good that we put ourselves down to 5 life when we awaken. This card costs 2, but it can be used for 0 energy if we are at 5 or less life, and we take a life to activate it. So it puts us to 4. 4 is kind of the magic number where you know, your deck is usually online the most in Dragon Ball Super. But when you use this card's ability, you get to not only negate the attack, but you also create a token that has blockers. So you're stopping another attack for this 0 energy card, which is very, very powerful. The more you guys get into Dragon Ball Super competitively, you're going to realize how insane these cards are. And then we have 3 copies of Android 17 Impending Crisis. So again, I mentioned that we don't have Dormant Potential Unleashed in this deck, which is definitely unfortunate, but I thought this card was a good replacement in a few ways because, you know, for a lot of our cell stuff, we need different 17s and 18s in the drop area. So you can negate an attack with this, and then you can put whatever android you need in the drop area so you can do your different cell plays, and that's been pretty good. But again, normally at the end of these beginner videos, I do talk about some cards you can use for an upgrade path, but because I already have a competitive build out here on the channel, I'm just going to link that. You guys can go reference that if you guys want to take this deck and get more competitive with it. But again, this was the best deck you could build with just 2 copies of the Ultimate deck, guys. Of course, as always, let me know in the comments below what you think about this deck and about this video. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Yo, Dragon Ballers, quick break in the video to give a huge shout out to PPG, who is going above and beyond to make our organized play season the best that it can possibly be. I'm here on the PPG event management website. I'm going to link this down in the description, so all you have to do to sign up for any of these events is go down to that link. But anyways, real quick, we have MomoCon at the end of May, where there is a guaranteed case tournament for Dragon Ball Super. Next up is the Origins event, which is a huge one, guys. They have events going from Wednesday to Saturday. Practically every single day of the con, you can play a Dragon Ball Super event, among other card games. It's going to be an absolutely incredible time. Next up after that, we have an event in Denver, which is for the Pro Play Tour organized season. Not only are you playing for an invite to the Pro Play Invitational, but you're also playing for $2,000 guaranteed. And if you want to, guys, there is also a Team War event in that same weekend, and Team War is one of the best formats to play. If you haven't played a tournament with your friends, you absolutely have to do it. And then finally, an event that I know for sure that I'll be attending is the Too Many Games convention in Philadelphia. This is actually a regional for the regular Dragon Ball Super organized play season. So again, guys, super huge shout out to PPG. Secondly, this website is so awesomely laid out. All you have to do is go to this website. All these different tabs here will take you to the events you want to sign up for. I hope to see you guys there. Let's get back into the video.